Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ask About Altrusa. Our guest today is one of the first people that I remember meeting when I became an Altrusan, and I am delighted that although she says she's normally quite shy, she has agreed to be our guest this morning. So please welcome Sylvia Zamora.
Well, good morning, Lillian. Good to see you.
You too, and it's nice to see people.
Yes, it is. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm honored, and I'm happy to be here this morning with you.
Well, we are thrilled that you could make the time to be with us, because I do know that, I don't have a set time for these podcasts because I do try to work with my guests and my own schedule, let's be honest. So it's great when we manage to find synchronicity and we can make it work. So let's start this morning's podcast with the basic question. Not Altrusa, just about yourself. Tell us a bit about you, your family, where you're based.
Yes, okay. My name is Sylvia Zamora. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I'm a member of Altrusa International of San Antonio. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and we've been married, 40 years. I have 2 children. I have a daughter who's an attorney and also an Altrusan, and a son. And then I have a lovely granddaughter, Isabella, who I'm very, very proud of. And let's see, I have several grand dogs and 2 grand cats.
I'm sure that they thoroughly appreciate being spoiled by grandma.
They are, all of them.
Absolutely. So thinking about Altrusa now, who introduced you to Altrusa? Who first mentioned it to you?
Yes. I had recently moved to South Lake, Texas. I was a counselor at Carroll High School at that time. And one of my parents came up to me to visit with me about her daughter. I was her daughter's academic counselor at the time. And she was talking up this organization. Her name was Fran Waldman. And she just kept bragging about this organization, that I would be a perfect fit for it. And of course, being you, like some people that I've encountered in my career, made up 1,000 reasons why I couldn't go to a meeting or I couldn't participate. I was just too busy and so forth and so on. Well, she wore me down, and I did go to a couple of meetings. And I think the clincher for me was when I went with her as her guest to the International Convention, which was held in Dallas that year. And I was just flabbergasted, just so in awe of all the professional women and men. There were a few men at that time. In the works that they were doing, the beautiful work they were doing in their communities. They were very welcoming, and I thought, where do I sign up? I want to be a part of this group. And so Fran Wallman at the time was my sponsor and is my sponsor. And at that time they were in the process of chartering a new Altrusa club in South Lake, the DFW club. So that was my first Altrusa club. Since then, I've been a member of 2 other clubs, Houston and San Antonio.
Awesome. You kind of snuck in there on what convinced you, but I'm going to ask you just to elaborate a bit more. I understand going to convention and being in awe, but when you got back to what was to be the DFW club, what convinced you you'd made the right choice?
Probably the people that I was going to be working with in the community that we were at. I was not aware. I was fairly new to the community, and I didn't know there was as much need there. And that was a part of it. I was brought up by a mother who was always service oriented, and she had us as children doing a lot of volunteer work and giving. Of course, I was raised by Irish nuns too. I was at Catholic school, and so giving to others, being a part, helping was always a part of my upbringing. And this club really did mission and the vision that I had for me in giving to others and helping others, being a giver. I'm not really a person that is a joiner. I'm not really a joiner. And so that's why I was hesitant at the very beginning, thinking, do I really have the time to invest in this with a new job and the commitments that I had at the high school? But seeing all the other women at convention that were just as busy, or maybe even more so than myself, and I thought, if they can cut out some time to do this, to help others and to build their community, I can do it as well.
Wonderful. So we have a couple of guests with us this morning. So good morning to Carolyn Robinson, past Governor, District 4. And I'm going to show her comment. Good morning to my favorite Altrusan with potatoes, Connie Corwin Brown. She says there's a whole story about this one. It's how Connie and I met. She said, a late leisurely breakfast, her jammies, a cup of tea and Altrusans. What a great way to start the day.
Good morning,
lady. For the benefit of others who I know there's more than the two watching us, when you want to post a comment, if you allow StreamYard to see your name, then I get to say who's actually posting the comments. It's just a little thing. I promise you, they don't mine your information. You won't be spammed. But it is just helpful to us when we're in the studio to know who's saying what. So if you're online and watching, just say hi, post a comment. It's nice to know you're there. Getting back now to Sylvia.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
I want you said to me earlier before we started that you're not good on dates. Don't ask you dates.
I did say that.
I'm not going to ask you a date, but I would ask you just to cast your mind back to when you started with that first club and tell us a bit about your journey with Altrusa, things, positions you've held, places you've been.
Okay. Well, as I said, I started first with the DFW club. And from there, I took on a job in Houston. And so I moved to Houston, left South Lake Carroll, left DFW club and moved on to Houston. And they had a club there. And again, I was hesitant to even join that club because, again, it was a new job and it was, time consuming the first year. But I was convinced by Virginia Cunningham they take me. With the little time that I had, they take me and so forth. So I became a member of the Houston Club. Later, I became president of the Houston Club. Prior to that, I had served several positions on several led committees and held director positions and so forth. And I became the Houston Club president, which was a great honor for me. Later, then I was asked I received the BUSC Award, President's Award, which I was totally shocked. And I was so honored. It just convinced me that I was doing the right thing, going in the right direction. My club members were fantastic and they were very supportive. So I was asked to run for a position and I served on the district board. And I moved to San Antonio. My husband retired on me. And we always decided that when we retire, we'd go back to San Antonio where my children are. And in San Antonio, I joined the San Antonio Club, a wonderful club that I'm still a member of. I love that club. I love the members. When I was asked whether I wanted to move on the district board for possible governorship, of course, I consulted with my family first, who's always been very supportive, and then my club members, my second family, my Altrusa Club. And I said, I will not move forward if I don't have your support because I can't do this alone. And I sent an email out and I got some real positive comments from my club members, knowing that if I did go up to governorship, they would have to host the convention, the conference. And I wanted to be sure that I didn't put them in a position that they would not be able to do. And they all said, oh no, whatever. And I'll tell you what, they were wonderful. So I appreciate that. As far as at the international level, I've had Astra position as the Astra chair. And then currently I'm serving on the International Nominating Committee, which is I'm working with some fine ladies there from other districts. But my career has been a wonderful altruistic career, and every my family laughs and says, "Mom, you eat, sleep, live Altrusa." And I said, I know, where would I be without it? I mean, I just can't picture myself in a world without Altrusa. I mean, it's made me, it helped me grow as a person, as a human being. All the people that I have been fortunate to work with and be friends with, I would not have ever had that opportunity without Altrusa. And so that's just a little bit about my career. And I'm very proud of where I am. And I still have lots to do. Currently, I'm a Astra uh, committee chair for District 9, and Astra is very dear to my heart. And so I enjoy doing that.
Wonderful. You said that, where would you be without Altrusa? And I totally get that. You've obviously been involved in a lot of projects during your time with Altrusa.
Yes.
What's your favorite project, whether it be club, district, or international?
Oh my gosh, I have several, several wonderful projects. But one that of course, that Astra, number one. But another one that I'm very proud of is a service project that's called Red Rover, and that's a project that we've had, a service project we've had here in San Antonio. This is going to be its 10th year, and we were very lucky. Started a grant, an international grant, foundation grant in 2010, and this is a project, a reading program for kids, and to help them understand the importance of being kind to animals. There was a huge problem in San Antonio when I first arrived regarding animal abuse and neglect and so forth. And a dear friend of mine from the Rio Grande Valley, that's where I'm from, called me. He said, "Hey, Sylvia, there's a program I think you're going to be interested in participating in. Maybe your Altrusa ladies will want to do that." And I said, "Okay." So I looked into it, and it is a program that's based out of California, and it involved being certified to go into the school and teach this curriculum. It's literacy based, but it's a beautiful program in teaching empathy towards animals. And there's a direct correlation between domestic violence and animal abuse and so forth. And so it's a really neat program that I have really enjoyed working with. And students, the kiddos, their expressions, the way they're so receptive to that, and you can see it being transferred from the kindness to animals, kindness to their classmates, kindness to people around them, and so forth. And that's a beautiful project, the Red Rover project. I like.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
Not project based now, but thinking about this Altrusa journey that you've been on, and I know it's not over yet, but is there one moment in time that really stands out for you?
Okay. Well, I think it's one time that stands out to me is when I was in Houston. We were doing a project one night. It was like a family-based project, and I had a niece at the time, Alyssa. She was 4 years old at the time, and she was always real interested in Altrusa. She calls me Thea, which is her pet name for me. Thea, can I go? And so forth. And I thought, well, yeah, it's going to be an elementary school. There's going to be kids and so forth. So, of course, she was helping passing out papers and reading and so forth. And I remember I was assigned to the kindergarten section where we were going to read to the kids and so forth. And she said, "I want to go with you." And I said, "Well, okay." So we were there. She was 4 years old at the time, and we were going to read them a story. Well, she said, "Thea, I can read to them." I didn't even know she could read. And so she's sitting around there, and she has her little book. And you have all these little 5 and 6 year olds that are sitting around her. And she has the book, and she's reading to them. And they're all so attentive, and you see their little eyes. And what struck me was that on the way home, she said, she was so serious. She said, Thea, she said, do you think I can be an Altrusa when I grow up? And I said, honey, you can be anything you want to be. You can be president of the United States, and you can definitely be an Altrusa. And so to me, that was a very special moment because we're doing so many things for others that sometimes you fail to realize that you impact your own family sometimes. And so that was a very touching moment for me that she enjoyed seeing what we were doing out there, and we were modeling for her what we expected from her and from the other students, giving of yourself, giving time and of yourself, whatever talent you may have at that time. She could read, and she was so proud of it. I wasn't even aware that she could read that well, as a matter of fact, and she did. And so that really struck me. That not only are you influencing your community, but your family and friends as well.
Well, wonderful memory. I'm sure you've shared that with her now that she's probably a bit older.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she just graduated. She's a senior. She just graduated, so we're proud. I'm looking forward to her future.
Wonderful. I'm going to throw in a question that just occurred to me, and it's probably going to be part of future podcasts, so I apologize. You did not get notice. I want to ask you, who would you say would be your hero is the wrong word, but role model, someone you would aspire to? Is there someone in Altrusa that you just think they are the epitome of a wonderful Altrusan?
Oh, wow. That's tough. That is tough. That's a tough question. Scenario.
People you look up to. Who do you admire?
Wow. There are so many people I admire.
Give you one, if I may, give you a chance to think, but I'm just going to throw this out because today being what it is, rest in peace, Peggy Sturrock.
Exactly. You're right. She was definitely one of my heroes, and I will use the word hero. Very kind and sweet and understanding and non-judgmental. All the attributes that a true Altrusan holds. Always positive and very kind and sincere in what she said. And I had an opportunity to visit with her several times. All her stories were wonderful, making light of everything. And I think I admire her. When I saw her in New Zealand, she was there, and I think, wow, I hope that I'm able to continue my journey, Altrusa, forever and ever. Sue Powell is another one whom I admire tremendously. And so that's a tough question because there's so many people that influenced me to get me to where I am and who I am. And I am grateful for meeting them and having them part of my life, influence my life.
Well, you kind of inspired that question actually with something you'd said earlier. I thought, I can't think why I haven't included that in the past, but I'm definitely
question.
I'm going to include it because, there are people who influence.
And there's so many of heroes, Virginia Cunningham, Rita Corey, several, Antonia Bubin. There's just so many people that have really inspired me, and some Brenda Tucker, so many that have inspired me and made me look at parts of myself that I had not even really looked into and examined or been aware of. So I appreciate their insights.
Well, as I say, R.I.P. Peggy. I first met her at my very first conference. I think it was the same time I met you, actually. And it was in one of the after parties. And she just took such an interest in me, gave me her business card, which I still have to this day.
Oh, wow.
And as a brand new Altrusan, it meant such a lot to me. So I apologize to our viewers, but we are remembering Peggy this week. For sure.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. With fond memories and lots of love.
Absolutely. It's maybe a difficult segue, but thinking now, if there was someone out there, you talked about how it was difficult for your sponsor to persuade you. You came up with all these reasons why you didn't have time, couldn't do this. If you were talking to someone today, maybe there's someone watching these podcasts, which after all is one of the reasons we're making them. If there's someone out there who's thinking, what is Altrusa? Would I want to be part of it? What would you tell them?
Well, what I usually tell them is that, well, first I start off by telling them a little bit about the organization, and then talking to them about, every one of us has very special talents that we can bring into this organization. And this organization is not only for giving to your community, making a difference, but also it's something for yourself, something that you can do for yourself. Meeting wonderful people, growing as a person. And I know one time constraints sometimes seem to be a problem, but I always tell them, whatever little time you have, whether it's a lot or a little, we want you. We want you. I can see an Altrusan heart in you, and I know that you would fit in very well with our organization, with our mission. And usually they ask a lot of questions, and I try to be as reassuring and as positive as I can be, illustrating, telling them all about the different clubs. And I have been very blessed, like I said before, that I have been a member of 3 different clubs, and each club so different. The DFW club, the Houston club, the San Antonio club, each unique in their communities and in their way of doing things and so forth. And I have a perspective that I think helps me when I do recruitment with members. And I have been very proud of the members that I have been able to recruit. I guess it comes out in the way I'm very enthusiastic in the way I recruit them and tell them about our organization and let them know there's so many wonderful people out there that are going to be there to help and encourage and guide them. And it's also for them to develop their skills and build on their strengths.
Well, I think you have given so much to the organization already, and I do thank you for that. You've certainly been one of the people that I, as I say, when I first became an Altrusan, looked up to. You've certainly always helped me anytime I've asked, and so thank you for that too. I have some other ideas that we may come back to on a future date, but for now, I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining us today, Sylvia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jillian. You take care.
Thank you. And so that concludes this week's podcast. I'm going to give you a little teaser now about next week's podcast. It's not set in stone yet because I'm still working with the young lady to have her confirm the good date and time. But for those of you who already know our Katie, Catherine McKenzie, from the Dallas Club, she has a wonderful story, and this is going to be an episode you won't want to miss. So if you have not already done so, please like us, comment, go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel so that you'll always get an alert when there's a new video coming up. If you know someone you think has a great story, again, let me know, because that's how I get these wonderful guests. It shouldn't just be about people that I admire and having them on, although I love getting to talk to my friends live. But I would love to hear who else you would like to see on the podcast. So until next week, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful week and stay safe.